Vacations are for indulging. Eat anything you want and as much as you want. Drink more alcohol than you normally would, go to bed late, sleep in, and definitely no exercising. You're on vacation after all. Well, I don't know about you, but this is definitely how I used to treat my vacations. And as a result, it would take me at least a week to recover once I got back home. Welcome to the Foundational Health Podcast, where we provide education and inspiration to help guide you on your journey to look better, feel better, and most importantly, heal better. Hello, and welcome to the Foundational Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Kevin Schultz, and today we're going to talk about how to stay healthy while you travel, but still have an amazing and fun vacation. How many times have you said, I need a vacation from my vacation? I literally hear this every week in the office as people are coming back from vacation. I'll say, how was your vacation? Like, oh, yeah, it was good, but man, I just need a vacation from my vacation. Well, when my wife and I were younger, we treated vacations as literally like an excuse to let loose. We would get drunk, we would eat what we wanted, and then as a result, we felt pretty horrible, not only during our vacation, but we felt really horrible when we got home due to all the lifestyle stuff, the lack of sleep, lack of good sleep, rather. And then this often led to getting sick shortly after we were home, especially me. Like that was just my thing. Like I knew after vacations, I was going to get sick. It was almost 100% of the time. And I always blamed the flights, actually. That was what I always said. Like, yeah, I think it's the airplane air, which isn't good, but it wasn't the reason that I was getting sick. Thank God we have since matured and we've made some major changes. So the intent of today's podcast is to share some of the things that we now do to stay healthy while we travel, feel great when we get home, but not at the cost of eliminating fun. That is not what this podcast is about. So don't tune me out. Don't think like, oh my gosh, he's so strict on everything. He doesn't even have fun on vacations. And that is not the case in any way. This is just about having fun, enjoying your vacation, but doing it in a little bit healthier, smarter way so that you can feel good when you're on vacation and when you get home. I'm intentionally releasing this podcast in November, which of course for my fellow Northerners is the time of year where we start heading south for warm weather getaways to Mexico and Florida and Arizona and all the other great places that we get to visit this time of year. When we're talking about traveling, we're talking about vacations, things are going to look very different if you're driving versus flying, where you're staying. So when we're driving somewhere, we pack a lot more things and especially a lot more food because we choose not to do fast food at any point. And then we only do a few restaurant meals when we're traveling. So those are kind of like a treat, especially for our kids. If it's Sarah and I, we actually don't do that at all. But when the kids are along, certainly they enjoy that. We do it as a treat. We just don't do it fast food. We just choose a little bit healthier options with restaurants. And then if we're staying in a hotel, we always at this point shoot for a hotel that has a kitchen in the room. And sometimes those cost a little bit more, but we absolutely make up for that cost by not eating out as often. And then if we're flying and staying at that hotel versus driving, if we're driving, of course, we've got our own food. And then if we're flying and staying at a hotel, we hit up a local grocery store. We do this often on our family Florida vacations. We hit Costco, we hit a Whole Foods. We stock up on healthy foods from the grocery store. And then we've got our kitchen in the place that we stay down there. And we're able to make amazing meals. Actually, I take on that responsibility 100% when we're on vacation to give my wife a break, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And then now on our Mexico vacations, which Sarah and I do every single year, we have for the 15 years that we've been together, we stay at an all-inclusive resort. So we always have done that 100% of the time. And then, of course, those have restaurants and buffets, so things look very differently when we do that as well. Okay, let's start with what most people don't consider, and that is setting yourself up for success prior to your vacation. So if you're not doing all inclusive, strongly consider what I just talked about. Booking a room with a kitchen to avoid eating out for every meal. One thing I should point out there that there's certainly times where, depending on where we're staying, if we're going up north and we're staying at a cabin that doesn't have that option, then we bring along our plug-in griddle. So we can still cook eggs in the morning. We can still make burgers on that griddle. So every situation looks a little bit different. But we're always planning ahead so that we can make sure that we're having a healthier, better vacation. Sleep leading up to your vacation. I mean, obviously, you should be prioritizing sleep all the time, but especially leading up to that vacation. So, this is something that I am so strict about now. I know that I have to go into that vacation rested if it's going to be a great vacation for me. So, I really prioritize my sleep for that week leading up. Supplements, I double up on really all of my supplements, certainly the foundational four, but especially probiotics. Before we go to Mexico, actually, Sarah and I like triple, quadruple our probiotic intake. We increase probiotic foods like kefir and kimchi prior to those vacations because we want our guts to be as healthy as possible to withstand potential bacteria that we're not used to when we get to a foreign country like Mexico. When it comes to food the week leading up, we really focus on good whole food nutrition more than ever. We make sure that it's not a week where we would have a cheat meal in there anywhere or an eat out meal. And we do that for that entire week, again, to up our odds of feeling good for the vacation. And then, little side note, kind of pro tip here for traveling, if you get up early for a flight, so like for instance, for me, normal, I get up at 5 in the morning. So I've got this good routine, but often when we're going to Mexico, I'm getting up at 2:30 in the morning, at 3 in the morning, because I want to catch that earlier flight. So yes, I go to bed a little bit earlier. And then when I get up, because I don't want to throw off my circadian clock more than it already is going to be, there's a ton of science behind this, so this isn't just me saying it. But instead of turning on those bright white, blue light bulbs, this is where you want to turn on the red and orange bulbs instead of that blue light. And that helps protect your circadian clock. It doesn't tell you like, hey, awake mode. It allows you to stay in that circadian rhythm. So you're going to keep that sleep cycle so much better when you do that. We just started incorporating that about 3 years ago. And for us, it seems to be a game changer. Nutridyne is my number one choice for the vast majority of my family supplements. I'm a huge fan of nearly everyone taking what I call the foundational 4 supplements: a multivitamin, a spore-based probiotic, omega-3 fish oil, and vitamin D3 with K2. The large majority of people are deficient in many of these nutrients, and they are the building blocks to gut health, immune system strength, brain health, heart health, and every other aspect of your health. Don't fall into the trap of chasing symptoms with supplements and instead start to rebuild your health with the foundational 4. We partnered with Nutridyne so that you can save 15% on every order, and not just with the foundational 4, but all of your other supplements as well. Go to foundationalhealth365.com, click on Shop Brands, and then Nutridyne, set up your account, and you're all set to automatically get 15% off all orders. Now let's get back to the Foundational Health Podcast. Let's talk about the list of what I consider essentials for packing. So this is not an extensive list by any means. It's been simplified for us over the years. And this list is a lot of it like it's what we do when we go on a flight, and especially to Mexico. So always healthy snacks. So we keep it pretty simple. Actually, we keep everything simple. We literally do backpacks now. We don't do any checked bags or even a carry-on bag. So just backpacks under the seat. And in that backpack is healthy snacks. So we do a lot of paleo bars. You can buy those on Amazon. Some Costco stores carry them. But also you can get obviously any other healthy snack bar. Prima is one of the best ones out there. You just want to avoid the ones that are loaded with crappy ingredients and seed oils, sugars. And then we make a homemade trail mix always. So our homemade trail mix, we just put in baggies, and that contains nuts and seeds as well as raisins and sea salt. The sea salt sticks to the raisins, by the way. It's so good. We pack apples, really easy thing to pack where they're not going to get bruised and smashed like an avocado or a banana. So we pack apples, although my wife does pack avocados and bananas. I just simply don't. I don't want them getting smashed in my bag. And then we do things like, for protein, 100% grass-fed beef sticks. Paleo Valley is absolutely one of our favorites if we don't have any from a local farm like Together Farms, which is local to us here, that has amazing beef sticks and hot dogs and other products. But we get Paleo Valley, which are packaged, and we take those along with us. Or you can even buy Archer Farms, which is by far the best store-bought brand that I've ever seen. You can even get those at Costco. And then we not only make sure that we have enough of all of those healthy snacks for the airports and the airplane, but we also make sure we have them for the entire vacation. So if we have healthy snacks, especially if we're drinking some alcohol during the day when we're in Mexico, we still do a small amount of alcohol when we go on our adults-only Mexico trips, but we want to make sure that we have food in our belly at those times, so those healthy snacks come in very handy as well. For supplements, in addition to what I already talked about for that week prior, we take along everything that we regularly would take at home. We just package it differently so it doesn't take up a ton of room in our bag. I always put it in small baggies, and then I just write with a black Sharpie on that baggie, this is my D3, this is my multi. So take the foundational 4, and actually, speaking of D3, if I'm going on a sunny vacation to Florida, if I'm going into Mexico, I don't take my D3 with, because I know I'm going to be in the sun all day and I'm getting D3 the way that God intended. So I don't take my D3 supplement at that time. But I do take my multi, my probiotics, extra probiotics when I go to Mexico. And then fish oil. Normally, my family does that in liquid. Found out the hard way going through the airport, that doesn't fly. Literally. So they took it away from me one time, and I was so sad. I lost like an $80 bottle of fish oil to TSA. So now the fish oil is always in capsules. And then creatine. This one I now leave in the container that says creatine on it, since I learned the very hard way that it is not a great idea to bring a baggie filled with white powder through customs in Mexico. Didn't happen with creatine, but it looks the same. It happened to me with a vanilla protein powder, and thank God the dogs can tell the difference between cocaine and protein powder. So I didn't get hauled off to a Mexican prison. And then you have NAC and B complex and methyl complete as well. Those are all supplements I take on a regular basis, but they're all essential if you're going to be living a little bit more unhealthy lifestyle and drinking more alcohol. Also a supplement called alcohol detox we take on those vacations. I had a podcast back in March of this year, 2025, called Beer, Brats, and Cheese, Please. And from that podcast, we created the Alcohol Consumption Done Right guide, if you're interested in checking that out, where I talk about those supplements and how to time your food and all the great things that you can do to lessen the effects of alcohol. So I not only take extra supplements on vacation, but again, I double up typically for about a week on most of them. And then again, especially the probiotics to make sure that I'm healthy. But supplements are always a must for me. Another thing that we take along that for Sarah and I, this is like a for sure, is we take our pillow. And this is whether we're driving someplace or getting on an airplane. A little travel tip here, the pillow doesn't count as a bag. Obviously, if you're taking suitcases, really easy to throw in there. But because we don't take suitcases anywhere anymore, we have that pillow and we carry it right on the plane with us. And then we use chirp wheels for traveling. So most people are familiar with yoga foam rollers. Well, the chirp wheel, famous from Shark Tank, they have hollow, small rollers for your spine. And the reason these are absolutely amazing for travel is you can throw them in a backpack or a suitcase, and they basically don't take up any room. You can stuff your socks and underwear. We often stuff socks, underwear, and then like supplement baggies inside of those chirp wheels. Everywhere I go, my 4-inch and my 6-inch chirp wheel go with me, not only for rolling out my spine, the 4-inch under my neck, the 6-inch under my low back, but also that 4-inch one doubles as an amazing neck roll for either lying on a hotel bed or for the airplane, which I absolutely love it for that purpose. And then we always take a red and orange light bulb and night light. And for some people, that sounds kind of extreme. For us, we just want to have that great nighttime routine and get excellent sleep while we're on vacation, and then also wake up feeling really good and really rested. So we take one bulb, we replace one of the bulbs in the hotel room with our bulb. So at night we can turn on that orange or red light, and then we bring along one of our orange light night lights to put into the bathroom as well. When it comes to exercise, this is definitely something that I used to do in the past, and absolutely what I hear from people all the time. Like, I am not exercising on vacation. Vacation's a time to go away from exercise. And you can absolutely do that. That just doesn't make sense to me. So Sarah and I still hit the gym whenever that's available. We do that every morning during our vacations. After we do what we call our sunrise walk. So for us, we always get up before the sunrise. That's a rule on vacation. Never miss a sunrise. So we get up, we do our sunrise walk, because for us, it just sets the tone for the day. It gives us energy during the day, fresh air and sunlight in the morning. There is nothing to set the tone for the day quite like that, especially if you're on a beach vacation. And then we do exercise bands. I put those in my bag if there is not going to be a gym available, so I can at least get in a workout in my hotel room. And then we definitely do not sleep in, because our goal is to keep our normal sleep routine and keep our circadian clocks balanced. But that being said, I often at home, I probably average between 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And then on vacation, I always shoot for 8 to 9. So I certainly get a little bit more sleep, just not excessive. I'm not just going to lay in bed just because. So one of my favorite things to do is when we get up before the sunrise, as the sun is rising and we're going for our walk, especially on beach vacations, we stand grounding in the sand with the waves hitting our feet and our lower legs. And we go through our morning spinal stretches, our shoulder stretches, as well as my morning eye exercise routine as well. All right, it's time for my random recommendation. Random recommendation for today is be interested, not interesting. This comes from The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. An amazing book, one of my absolute top 5 favorites that I have ever read, and I have listened to the audio version probably 10 times throughout my life. Can't recommend it enough. And what be interested, not interesting means is when you are talking to other people, whether it's a friend, a family member, or a stranger, you want to be interested in what they have to say, not constantly thinking about, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? Whether it's just a conversation or you're having some sort of disagreement, listen to what that person has to say. Be interested in them instead of always trying to be the interesting person and tell them all about you. That's it for the random recommendation. Back to food. So food, I don't do any intermittent fasting on vacation. So this is one of the things that I kind of treat myself to in a sense. So no intermittent fasting at any point ever intentionally on a vacation. And I certainly don't worry about eating organic when I'm doing restaurants or eating at a buffet at a resort. Obviously, we're still buying organic groceries if we have the option of doing that. But I still do focus on getting as much whole food nutrition as humanly possible. I eat more bread on vacation than I ever do at home, but I choose to make that bread either sourdough or pumpernickel whenever possible. And then I don't eat crappy food just because I'm on vacation anymore. I just don't do that. So that used to be an excuse to eat anything and everything for me. I mean, the reason I don't do it is because I know crappy food makes me feel like crap. And I want to feel great so I can fully enjoy my vacation. Now, if I am going to eat something crappy for me, I have a rule I follow, and that is it has to taste amazing. And it has to be something that I'm probably not going to be able to get at home. Otherwise, for me, it's just not worth it. It's just wasted calories. I know it's going to make me feel worse when I wake in the morning. If I use one example, it would be some really, really amazing sushi rolls. So that would be an example of something that's worth it to me. If I can get some amazing sushi rolls on vacation, I'm absolutely going to do that. I'm going to throw everything else out the window, because I know that's not just empty calories. It makes me very happy. But those are the rare exceptions to that rule. And then for our nighttime routine, when we're on vacation, I still try to make sure I stop all food and alcohol consumption at least 2 hours before bed. Of course, if you're getting drunk, that is hard to do, which is why I choose not to get drunk anymore. Just choose to drink alcohol in moderation and actually for social reasons primarily. And then we turn on our orange lamp and night light, as I mentioned before, in the hotel room to set up that good sleep. And then we also use a sound machine app on our phone to drown out any hotel noise, especially. We use the sound machine or our air filters at home. We always have some sort of sound when we sleep, no matter what. But for us, that becomes essential when we're sleeping in a hotel or a resort because of all the hallway and other noise that takes place. Inspirational and educational takeaways from today. Knowledge without action is powerless. So the 3 actionable takeaways. Number 1, pack your pillow. Number 2, pack healthy snacks. And number 3, keep your sleep routine. Remember, success equals simple habits performed consistently over time. Don't make the mistake of letting a vacation derail you from your health goals. So many people say, I'm going on vacation. They take a week off of their health goals, and then they need another week of recovery like I used to do in the past. And then they get home, and I hear this all the time. Many people never recover. They never get back on track. Like, yeah, I took those couple weeks off, and then I just got out of my normal routine. I haven't worked out now in 6 months. I haven't gotten back to eating the way that I know I need to. Don't let that happen to you, because of vacation, which is supposed to be something great in your life. So don't turn it into a negative. Also remember, you are a leader. Lead by example, even when you're on vacation. If you enjoyed today's podcast and found it beneficial, I want you to think about who needs to hear this message and be a leader for them. Drop them a text. Tell them to check out the Foundational Health Podcast with Dr. Kevin Schultz, how to stay healthy while traveling. Until next time, make health your hobby. Thank you for listening to the Foundational Health Podcast. As always, if you would like to learn more about making health your hobby, visit our website at foundationalhealth365.com and follow me on Facebook at Kevin Schultz DC Foundational Health.